Hi, I'm Sybil Baker, and I'm the author of a linked collection called Talismans, which is available from CNR Press, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the collection and read just the very beginning of a story from the collection. So Talismans is more like a novel through stories in that it is just about one character, and I'm just going to read the back copy which describes the book. Elise understands her father, a Vietnam vet who abandoned her when she was an infant, about as much as she does her church organist mother and the rest of their suburban Virginian town. When even that thin thread of connection is suddenly severed, Elise is flung across the world to Southeast Asia. Tracing the steps her father took through the war, Elise searches for a connection with his ghost, with other travelers, with the foreign culture and environment she experiences. In a series of linked short stories, Talismans follows Elise's journey to learn what she must hold on to and what she must leave behind. So I'm just going to read the very beginning of a longer story, which is one of the last stories in the collection, and the title is called The Ice Queen. And in this story, Elise is in her 20s, and the story takes place in Asia. Okay, The Ice Queen. I met Tommy, my pretend husband from Canada, on a day when I'd almost thrown myself into Bangkok's Chao Phraya River. Still weak from quitting my opium habit, I was riding a wider taxi around the city with no real destination, leaning farther and farther over the thin, wobbly railing that lined the boat. The railing was an insufficient restraint against my own body, which was willing itself to fall accidentally. I doubled over and inhaled the warm dankness of a river long polluted with cigarettes and styrofoam. I was ready to succumb to whatever was below. But some invisible force held me back, and instead of falling in the water, I dived heaved into the open air. I got off at the next stop and sat on the edge of the dusty pier, waiting for the world to settle. That was when Tommy appeared, tall, dark blonde, and pale, offering me a lukewarm Coke in a glass bottle. The Coke tasted flat, but at least I was able to keep it down. He sat beside me and stretched his long legs across the dirt and broken glass. He was wearing the ubiquitous beige drawstring rayon pants on offer at the backpacker stalls that dotted the tourist parts of the city. "How long have you been traveling?" he asked. He leaned against one of the wooden posts on the pier. He was big-boned, with a wide rib cage and strong thighs. Later, whenever we had sex, which was usually about twice a week, I felt trapped for air under his lumbering bulk. "About a year," I said. I dangled my flip-flops inches above the plastic and white foam undulating in the river's water. "Me too." He swallowed and moved his lips like he was blowing bubbles, which I later found out meant he was excited or agitated. "So far, I've seen Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Borobudur in Indonesia, the Great Wall of China, Ayutthaya in Thailand, and India's Taj Mahal." He laughed apologetically. "Planned and saved for it since I was a kid. The only place that's left is Bangon, the land of 1,000 temples. After Bangon, back to good old Canada." He spread his legs wider and leaned back on his elbows, claiming the space around him the way Westerners often did, territorially, without thinking. "You from Canada?" he asked. "The States." "Ah," he said, as if that explains something. "Where are you headed?" "Not sure." I drained the Coke and rolled the bottle in my hands. Those days, I was finding my way back to the world of the living, a minute at a time. "I'm still deciding between Vancouver and Toronto," he continued, as if I'd been the one who had asked the question. "When I get back, I'm going to have a t-shirt made. Wonders of the World, Asia. Like those concert tour shirts, except this one would list the places I've been and the dates. Pretty cool, eh?" I nodded. Tommy leaned in. "I'm going to use all this wisdom I've gotten from this trip and do something with my own life that's great and enduring." "Like this Coke bottle?" I raised the empty bottle so the glass refracted the sun. "Ha ha, you Americans, always so sarcastic." He swallowed and bobbed his head. "You don't seem in such good shape." He considered me for a moment. "You need a plan." "Any ideas?" I asked. Tommy swallowed excitedly. He took the Coke bottle and rubbed it like it was a genie's lantern. "I think I have just the thing." A month later in Myanmar, although Tommy insisted on calling the country by its former, more politically correct name, Burma, we had come to the end of our self-guided tour of the Shuegagampoda in Rangoon. All that I could think about was coming back to our hotel room and taking a nap. The dizzying array of jeweled temples, backlit stupas, and reticent Buddhas swathed in a thin sheet of gold had tired me out. I pointed to a banyan tree and told Tommy I'd wait for him there while he bought watermelon slices from a girl, selling them from a tray perfectly balanced on the center of her head. I rested against the wide trunk, which, according to the sign next to the tree, had grown from a branch of the tree the Buddha had sat under when he became enlightened. Soon I was asleep. I awoke to Tommy tapping my shoulder. He was sitting next to me, cross-legged, and his lips were moving like a fish underwater. He handed me a slice of watermelon, and I bit into its watery sweetness. "Want to see tomorrow's plan?" He held the Lonely Planet open and directed my eyes to the yellow post-it note 2/3 of the way down. It was stuck next to a place on the map called Morocco. Tommy spent a good portion of each day highlighting the important parts of the Lonely Planet and color-coding them with matching post-it notes that were cross-referenced with the rough guide. He was quick to tell anyone who would listen that while the rough guide contained more detailed cultural explanations, the Lonely Planet boasted superior maps. Therefore, it was imperative to own both books. "Here." He leaned in and creased the book open. I closed my eyes and savored the watermelon seeds I'd pocketed in my cheek. He began reading. Hidden in the encroaching jungle, in hill country close to the Bangladesh border, Morocco is reached only by riverboat, well off the beaten track. It is noteworthy for its Arakanese art and architecture, and its Buddhist temple ruins. Morocco is accessible from Sittwe in western Myanmar. "But I thought we came here to go to Pangan." I spit the seeds into the palm of my hand, then planted them back into the dirt at the tree's base. "That's the grand finale, the piece de resistance." He said the last words in an exaggerated French accent. "What do you think?" His hand lightly stroked my knee through the fabric of my cotton skirt, which was his way of reminding me that we were scheduled to have sex that night. After we first agreed to the pretend marriage, Tommy explained to me that he didn't have a lot of time for sex these days, since he would probably be in Asia only once and had a schedule to keep. There was more to see than he had time for, while sex, as great as it was, he assured me, could be indulged in back home, where there wasn't as much to see or do. I brought my hand up to cover my yawn. Through the fog of my nap, the golden stupas had a surreal, theme park look to them. "Sure, whatever," I said. "It's your call."